Black people, bro, we pussy as fuck, man. I know y'all from Africa too. I just hate the Africans who act like y'all better than motherfuckers and like we whatchamacallit. Y'all Africa should have never sold niggas, bro. Bro, you know, people, bro, why you think slavery go good, bro? I'm not mad at slavery, bro, cause white people are slaving people too.
I had your password yesterday. I had your password yesterday. I had your password. I had your password.
Kodak Black has always been a figure surrounded by loyalty, but new reports suggest that his inner circle may have turned against him at the worst possible moment. Sources claim that after the high-profile incident involving WizDaWizard, people close to Kodak began acting in ways that left the rapper exposed and vulnerable. Friends and associates who were once considered unshakable now appear to have prioritized their own interests, leaving Kodak to navigate the fallout largely on his own. The betrayal isn't just personal, it has major implications for his career, security, and public image. The timing couldn't have been wise. Following the WizDaWizard incident, tensions were already high, media scrutiny intense, and fan speculation rampant. In that environment, trust becomes more than a social concept, it's a survival tool. Insiders claim that certain members of Kodak's team failed to support him when he needed it most, and some even allegedly leaked information that intensified the backlash. These moves, whether intentional or opportunistic, have shaken the foundations of his personal and professional life. Industry insiders are pointing to a pattern of self-interest within his circle. Deals that once seemed solid have reportedly fallen through. Alliances have shifted, and the protective network Kodak relied on appears fragmented. The betrayal isn't just behind closed doors, it's spilling into public perception, with fans, rivals, and media outlets all weighing in on the drama. Every interaction, every message, and every association now carries heightened significance. For Kodak, navigating this environment is proving to be a complex balancing act. He must maintain his reputation, protect his interests, and determine who can truly be trusted in a climate filled with uncertainty. The stakes are high. One misstep could impact future collaborations, financial opportunities, and even his standing in the rap community. As the story unfolds, questions remain. Who betrayed Kodak and why? How will he respond? And what does this mean for his inner circle moving forward? With the music world watching closely, this isn't just a story of loyalty lost. It's a high-stakes drama that could redefine Kodak Black's path and leave a lasting mark on his career. The fallout from the WizDaWizard incident left Kodak Black reeling in ways few could have anticipated. On the surface, the event seemed like another headline in a career already filled with controversy, but insiders claim it struck at the heart of Kodak's personal and professional network. The people he had trusted implicitly, those closest to him, those who had been with him through tours, studio sessions, and conflicts, suddenly became unpredictable variables in a situation where trust was everything. Kodak's inner circle, once a source of strength and protection, now seemed to have fractured, leaving him vulnerable at a critical moment when every ally mattered. The morning after the incident, Kodak found himself facing a barrage of media inquiries, social media speculation, and industry gossip. Cameras were waiting outside, fans and haters alike dissecting every detail, and journalists probing for answers. What made this different was the unsettling realization that some of the leaks weren't coming from outside sources. They were coming from people within his own camp. Contacts who had once assured him loyalty were allegedly sharing information with reporters, collaborators, and even rivals, creating a public narrative that painted Kodak in a more precarious light than he had anticipated. Those closest to him, according to sources, began prioritizing self-interest over solidarity. Some associates allegedly distanced themselves to avoid being associated with potential fallout, while others were reportedly actively steering conversations behind the scenes to protect their own interests. For Kodak, who had always emphasized loyalty and reciprocity within his inner circle, this was not only a professional challenge but a personal betrayal. The people who once acted as buffers against conflict and risk were now contributing to it, undermining the sense of security he had long relied upon. As the days unfolded, Kodak had to adapt quickly. Trust, once freely given to his inner circle, had to be re-evaluated with every conversation, every meeting, and every decision. Collaborators who had once been unquestionable partners were now scrutinized, every gesture measured for potential hidden motives. This environment of uncertainty affected not just his business dealings but also his personal interactions, as he worked to discern who remained genuinely loyal and who had shifted allegiances in pursuit of their own advantage. The professional consequences of these fractures were immediate. Deals that had been in motion reportedly stalled, as partners grew wary of the surrounding drama. Studio sessions, collaborations, and promotional efforts were disrupted, not necessarily because of Kodak's actions, but because the perception of instability within his team created doubt for outside parties. In an industry where timing and reliability are critical, the absence of a cohesive support system can be just as damaging as any external conflict. Adding to the complexity, rival artists and industry observers were quick to take notice. The WizDaWizard incident had already placed Kodak under a spotlight, and the rumors of internal betrayal only magnified scrutiny. Competitors sensed vulnerability, while commentators speculated publicly about Kodak's ability to navigate the fallout without the full support of those he had relied on. Every decision, every social media post, and every public appearance carried more weight than ever before, requiring careful calculation to maintain credibility and authority in the community. At the same time, Kodak's mental state was being tested. The dual pressure of public scrutiny and perceived personal betrayal created a sense of isolation, forcing him to process events internally and make strategic decisions without the same degree of trusted counsel he had once relied upon. This environment required resilience, emotional intelligence, and the ability to anticipate moves from both allies and rivals. For someone accustomed to having a tightly knit network of support, the erosion of that network was a profound challenge. Despite these obstacles, Kodak was not without options. Sources close to him emphasized that his instinct for self-preservation, combined with his experience navigating past conflicts, gave him a roadmap for managing the situation. The key was to identify genuine allies, strengthen those relationships, and distance himself from individuals whose loyalty was questionable. Strategic decisions about public messaging, professional collaborations, and personal interactions became paramount, each step carefully weighed to minimize risk and maintain influence. The WizDaWizard incident, combined with the internal fractures within Kodak's circle, became a crucible moment. It tested not only his resilience but also his ability to read people, assess loyalty, and adapt in real time. For observers, it was a reminder that in the music industry, the stakes are not just about talent and performance. They are equally about relationships, trust, and the ability to navigate complex interpersonal dynamics. Kodak's response in the coming weeks would determine how he emerged from this episode, shaping not just the trajectory of his career, but the very composition of the circle he relies upon to thrive in a high-pressure environment. After the initial shock of realizing his inner circle might have betrayed him, Kodak Black had no choice but to pivot quickly. The trust he once took for granted was gone, replaced by a constant need to evaluate motives, reassess alliances, and navigate a labyrinth of hidden agendas. Every phone call, text, and meeting became a potential risk. Even longtime friends, those who had stood by him during past controversies, now needed to be considered carefully. Kodak's instinct for self-preservation kicked into overdrive, forcing him to operate with a heightened level of caution, balancing both personal and professional concerns. In the studio, the ripple effects of betrayal were palpable. Collaborations that had been planned for months suddenly stalled as some producers and artists questioned whether participating in Kodak's projects was wise given the public attention and the perceived instability of his team. Sessions that were once free-flowing and creative became tense, with Kodak constantly monitoring not just the music but also the dynamics within the room. Trust, the unspoken foundation of any creative collaboration, had been fractured, and its absence was immediately felt in the energy of each session. Business negotiations, too, took on a new complexity. Deals with promoters, sponsors, and record label affiliates required more scrutiny than ever. Kodak's team, previously seen as a source of cohesion and reliability, was now a variable that external parties were watching closely. Industry insiders suggested that this perceived lack of unity within his camp could reduce confidence in his projects, potentially affecting release timelines and promotional efforts. Kodak had to find ways to rebuild credibility, not just in the eyes of his audience, but also among those whose support was critical to the smooth execution of his professional ventures. Meanwhile, rumors about who exactly had betrayed him began to swirl, adding fuel to an already tense environment. Social media and industry chatter amplified speculation, and Kodak had to decide whether to confront these leaks publicly or handle them behind closed doors. Any public misstep could worsen the situation, damaging relationships further and escalating tensions with rivals and media outlets. The line between personal loyalty and professional strategy blurred, requiring careful judgment and an acute awareness of every consequence. Psychologically, Kodak faced an uphill battle. Feelings of isolation, frustration, and even anger were natural responses to betrayal, yet he had to channel them constructively to maintain focus and performance. Friends who remained loyal became essential pillars, providing counsel, encouragement, and practical support. These relationships were reinforced intentionally, as Kodak sought to surround himself with people whose intentions were clear and whose commitment was evident. Every interaction was filtered through a lens of accountability, ensuring that trust was rebuilt on concrete actions rather than assumptions. The WizDaWizard incident itself continued to cast a shadow over Kodak's days. Media coverage had intensified, and public interest in every development meant that Kodak's response had to be measured and deliberate. Miscommunication or rash decisions could escalate the situation, inviting further scrutiny from rivals and commentators. Managing the narrative required both patience and strategic foresight, as Kodak had to weigh each statement, appearance, and move to protect his reputation and career trajectory. Internally, Kodak began restructuring his team, evaluating not only loyalty but also competence. Roles within his inner circle were reassessed, with responsibilities adjusted to ensure that critical functions were handled by individuals whose dedication and reliability were unquestioned. This process, though necessary, was delicate, as cutting ties or reducing influence could create additional friction or resentment. Yet it became clear that the long-term stability of his career depended on a trusted, disciplined, and strategically aligned team. As the days turned into weeks, Kodak's approach evolved. He moved from reactive measures to proactive strategies, identifying opportunities to regain control and rebuild influence. Carefully orchestrated collaborations, public appearances, and private negotiations became tools for demonstrating resilience and authority. At the same time, he remained vigilant, continually assessing the intentions of those around him and responding to emerging threats with precision. The broader music community watched with interest. Industry analysts noted that Kodak's handling of this betrayal could serve as a blueprint for other artists navigating complex internal dynamics, illustrating the delicate balance between personal loyalty, professional responsibility, and public perception. How he managed both his team and his public image in the wake of this event would ultimately define his standing, not just in the charts but within the culture and industry networks that shape careers. By the end of this phase, Kodak Black had begun to reclaim a sense of agency. The betrayal had exposed vulnerabilities, yes, but it had also forced him to refine his strategy, strengthen his support system, and assert control over his narrative. While challenges remained and the full impact of the WizDaWizard incident continued to unfold, Kodak's response demonstrated a calculated resilience, a willingness to confront adversity, evaluate alliances critically, and rebuild in a way that could fortify both his personal and professional future. The days following the initial fallout from the WizDaWizard incident were tense and calculated. Kodak Black understood that time was both an enemy and an ally. Moving too quickly risked missteps, but waiting too long allowed rumors and speculation to grow unchecked. He began taking deliberate steps to assess the loyalties within his circle. Private meetings, one-on-one conversations, and subtle tests of trust became routine. Each interaction was carefully observed, noting reactions, consistency, and willingness to support him when stakes were high. Every gesture, no matter how small, was evaluated for authenticity, because in Kodak's world, loyalty could no longer be assumed. it had to be proven. The studio became a focal point of this reckoning. Previously, sessions were places of creativity and camaraderie, but now they were arenas for subtle power plays and strategic positioning. Collaborators, aware of the heightened tensions, were cautious, measuring words and actions. Kodak, however, remained professional, using music as both a shield and a tool. By focusing on his craft, he not only maintained productivity but also demonstrated to allies and onlookers that external betrayals would not derail his momentum. His music became a statement of resilience, a signal that, despite fractures in his inner circle, his vision and output remained intact. Meanwhile, external pressures mounted. Rivals, competitors, and industry observers sensed vulnerability. The WizDaWizard incident had already drawn attention, and now, whispers of disloyalty within Kodak's camp fueled speculation about his ability to maintain control over his career. Every public appearance, social media post, and interview became a strategic decision. Kodak understood that perception often mattered as much as reality. Demonstrating composure, confidence, and clear direction was essential to preventing adversaries from exploiting perceived weakness. Financial and contractual concerns also became immediate priorities. Some deals that were in negotiation prior to the incident stalled as partners sought assurances that Kodak's team could support successful execution. Agents worked tirelessly, providing guarantees, structuring contracts with contingencies, and ensuring that the betrayal within his circle did not compromise ongoing or future opportunities. Kodak's reputation as a reliable artist was at stake, and he knew that any lapse in management could have lasting consequences. At the same time, Kodak began taking measures to solidify loyalty among those who had remained steadfast. Trusted allies were given increased responsibility, included in decision-making processes, and made privy to strategic plans. This not only reinforced their commitment but also created a protective buffer, ensuring that critical operations, both creative and business-related, could continue smoothly despite fractures elsewhere. By empowering reliable team members, Kodak gradually rebuilt an inner network that could function with transparency, accountability, and mutual trust. The betrayal also prompted Kodak to reconsider external relationships. Collaborations, partnerships, and endorsements were reviewed with greater scrutiny, emphasizing alignment with both artistic vision and professional reliability. Potential partners were evaluated not only for their talent or reach, but also for their ability to respect confidentiality and honor commitments. This vetting process extended beyond immediate business concerns, shaping Kodak's strategic approach to brand growth and long-term influence. Media engagement became another critical front. Kodak took a careful, measured approach, opting for selective statements, controlled appearances, and strategic use of social media. By speaking directly to fans while limiting exposure to speculation, he managed to control the narrative, presenting himself as composed and proactive rather than reactive or vulnerable. Every interaction was crafted to reinforce resilience, professionalism, and authority, signaling to both allies and adversaries that despite internal challenges, he remained firmly in control of his career. In parallel, Kodak focused on creative output. New projects, collaborations, and studio sessions were prioritized to ensure that his presence in the music industry remained strong. By delivering content, he maintained relevance, kept fans engaged, and sent a clear message that betrayal within his inner circle would not impede his trajectory. Music became a tool not only for artistic expression but also for strategic positioning, reinforcing his brand and credibility amid turbulent circumstances. As trust was rebuilt and his inner circle began to stabilize, Kodak took steps to address the sources of betrayal subtly. Confrontations were carefully calculated, aimed at clarifying intentions, re-establishing boundaries, or removing individuals whose loyalties were irreparably compromised. By handling these situations discreetly, he prevented public spectacle while reinforcing accountability, ensuring that the lessons of betrayal strengthened rather than weakened his network. By the end of this phase, Kodak Black had transformed adversity into strategy. The combination of careful assessment, strategic delegation, and controlled engagement allowed him to regain a sense of control and stability. While the fallout from the WizDaWizard incident and the betrayal within his inner circle had introduced unprecedented challenges, Kodak's measured response demonstrated resilience, foresight, and leadership. He had not only weathered the storm but also set the stage for a stronger, more loyal network capable of supporting both creative ambition and professional growth. As Kodak Black moved further into recovery mode from the WizDaWizard incident and the internal betrayal, his focus sharpened. He understood that surviving the fallout was no longer just about protecting his reputation. It was about asserting control and demonstrating strength to everyone watching, from fans to rivals to industry insiders. Every decision became a calculated move designed to stabilize his career and rebuild trust in a fractured inner circle. He began by consolidating his team, ensuring that key players who had proven loyalty were given greater responsibility, while those whose commitment was questionable were gradually distanced from sensitive operations. This process, though delicate, was critical. Kodak knew that a single misstep in judgment could exacerbate existing vulnerabilities, leaving him exposed both creatively and professionally. The studio became a proving ground. Kodak poured himself into new music, treating each session not just as creative expression, but as an opportunity to reclaim authority and demonstrate resilience. Every track, every verse, and every collaboration was infused with a message. He remained unshaken despite adversity. Trusted allies in the studio were empowered to take initiative, managing logistics and contributing to creative direction, allowing Kodak to focus on performance while simultaneously reinforcing the loyalty and reliability of those he relied upon most. The energy in the room reflected a renewed focus, replacing tension with determination. Public perception was another arena that demanded strategic management. Kodak carefully curated his interactions with the media, using selective statements and controlled appearances to assert his narrative while minimizing opportunities for misinterpretation. He understood that the story of betrayal had already taken root in public consciousness. What mattered now was framing his response as one of resilience, not reaction. Social media, a double-edged sword, was leveraged thoughtfully. Posts and content were designed to engage fans, reinforce his personal brand, and convey confidence and composure in the face of scrutiny. Every move was intentional, reflecting a sophisticated understanding of narrative control in a climate where perception often outweighed reality. Meanwhile, Kodak turned his attention to addressing the sources of betrayal within his inner circle. Private confrontations were carefully planned, aiming to clarify intentions and test loyalty without provoking unnecessary conflict. In cases where trust had been irreparably compromised, he made the difficult decision to remove individuals from critical roles. These actions, though potentially controversial, sent a clear message. Loyalty and accountability were non-negotiable, and anyone jeopardizing the integrity of his team could not remain in a position of influence. By acting decisively, Kodak reinforced both structure and discipline within his circle, creating an environment where trust and performance could coexist. The ripple effects of these decisions extended to collaborations and external partnerships. Potential allies, collaborators, and sponsors observed the restructured team and recognized that Kodak had regained control over both his public image and internal operations. This newfound stability allowed negotiations and projects that had previously stalled to resume with renewed confidence. Deals were approached with clearer expectations, accountability measures, and enhanced communication, reducing the risk of misalignment and ensuring that future collaborations were executed efficiently and effectively. At the same time, Kodak remained vigilant. He knew that the music industry thrives on opportunity, and vulnerability often attracts exploitation. Competitors and critics were watching, waiting for signs of weakness. By maintaining a disciplined, strategic approach, he not only mitigated these risks but also positioned himself as a resilient and formidable presence. The combination of internal consolidation, renewed creative output, and careful public engagement reinforced his standing as both an artist and a leader capable of navigating high-pressure situations. The personal toll of this process was significant. Constant evaluation of loyalty, strategic decision-making, and handling the pressures of public scrutiny required focus and mental resilience. Kodak leaned on those he trusted for guidance and support, integrating feedback from advisors, collaborators, and confidants into his decision-making process. This network, smaller but more reliable than before, provided the stability necessary for both creative output and strategic execution, ensuring that he could operate with confidence despite the surrounding uncertainty. By this stage, it was clear that Kodak Black had transformed adversity into opportunity. The combination of decisive action, strategic planning, and disciplined execution allowed him not only to weather the storm but also to rebuild a foundation stronger than before. Loyalty had been tested, fractures had appeared, and betrayals had emerged. But Kodak's response demonstrated leadership, resilience, and an ability to navigate the complex dynamics of both personal relationships and professional obligations. As the situation evolved, Kodak's trajectory began to stabilize. The lessons learned from the incident and the internal betrayal informed future decisions, strengthening both his personal network and professional operations. The narrative was no longer solely about adversity. It became a story of recovery, strategy, and renewed authority. Kodak Black was sending a clear message to friends, rivals, and fans alike. Despite challenges, he remained firmly in control, ready to continue building his career and legacy on his own terms. The weeks following Kodak Black's decisive move to reclaim control were marked by both calculated strategy and visible momentum. The WizDaWizard incident had exposed vulnerabilities, but Kodak had transformed the challenge into an opportunity to redefine his network, his brand, and his career trajectory. By now, he had carefully restructured his inner circle, empowering loyal allies and removing those whose actions had threatened stability. This reorganization allowed him to operate with confidence, knowing that decisions made within his camp were aligned with his vision and that his support system could withstand external pressures. In the studio, Kodak's renewed focus became evident. Sessions were productive and energetic, fueled by the determination to demonstrate resilience and dominance in his craft. Creative output accelerated, with new tracks, collaborations, and projects strategically released to reinforce his public image. Each song was more than music. It was a statement of defiance, a testament to his ability to persevere despite betrayal, and proof that his talent and vision remained undiminished. Allies within the studio became partners in both creativity and strategy, ensuring that production, promotion, and collaboration were coordinated seamlessly. Public perception began to shift as well. Fans, initially concerned about the fallout from the WizDaWizard incident, witnessed Kodak maintaining composure, executing projects efficiently, and responding thoughtfully to media inquiries. Social media engagement reflected renewed confidence. Posts highlighted achievements, teased new music, and conveyed an image of both professionalism and resilience. By controlling his narrative, Kodak minimized speculation, redirected attention to his artistry, and demonstrated that his career was far from derailed by internal betrayal or public scrutiny. Financially, the impact of rebuilding trust and operational efficiency was immediate. Deals that had been on hold began to move forward as partners recognized the stability and reliability of his restructured team. Endorsements, collaborations, and sponsorships resumed, reflecting a renewed confidence in Kodak's ability to execute commitments without disruption. This recovery not only safeguarded current revenue streams but also opened doors for future opportunities, strengthening his long-term position in the music industry. Kodak's strategic handling of his inner circle also sent a message to the broader music community. The individuals who had once wavered learned that accountability and loyalty were non-negotiable, reinforcing standards of professionalism and mutual respect. At the same time, competitors and rivals observed his composure and adaptability, acknowledging that Kodak had not only survived adversity but had emerged stronger. This reinforced his reputation as an artist who could navigate high-pressure situations without losing control or direction. The personal dimension of Kodak's resurgence cannot be understated. Rebuilding trust required deliberate interactions, careful evaluation of motives, and consistent reinforcement of expectations. Relationships were strengthened not through fear but through clarity, mutual respect, and shared goals. By focusing on a smaller, more dependable network, Kodak created an environment where loyalty and performance could coexist, and where strategic decisions were implemented efficiently and effectively. As momentum grew, Kodak also began leveraging the lessons learned from the betrayal to guide future decision-making. He became more discerning about whom to include in sensitive projects, more vigilant in assessing loyalty, and more proactive in addressing potential conflicts before they could escalate. This proactive stance allowed him to maintain control over his creative output, protect his public image, and ensure that his career remained on track despite external and internal challenges. By the time new releases were hitting the charts, the transformation was clear. Kodak had turned what could have been a career-altering crisis into a demonstration of resilience, strategic acumen, and personal growth. The betrayal that once threatened to destabilize him had instead prompted a recalibration of his priorities, a reinforcement of trusted relationships, and a heightened awareness of the importance of both loyalty and professional alignment. Ultimately, Kodak Black emerged from the fallout of the WizDaWizard incident and internal betrayal with a stronger team, a sharpened strategy, and a renewed sense of authority. He had demonstrated that while adversity and betrayal are inevitable in high-stakes environments, they can be navigated successfully with focus, decisiveness, and careful attention to trust. Fans, collaborators, and industry observers alike recognized that Kodak's resilience and strategic response had solidified his position not only as a talented artist but as a leader capable of managing both personal and professional challenges. The lessons from this period would resonate long after the immediate fallout had passed. Kodak's approach, assessing loyalty, restructuring his team, asserting control, and reclaiming public perception, set a precedent for handling crises in the music industry. More than that, it reinforced a powerful narrative. True strength is not simply about surviving adversity, but about learning from it, adapting strategically, and emerging stronger than before. Kodak Black had done exactly that, and in the process, he had reasserted his place at the forefront of the industry, proving that no betrayal, no scandal, and no setback could define him unless he allowed it to. If this story shocked you, make sure you smash that like button and subscribe to stay updated on every explosive development in Kodak Black's world. The drama with WizDaWizard and the betrayal within his inner circle isn't just headlines. It's a high-stakes lesson in loyalty, strategy, and resilience. Hit the notification bell so you never miss behind-the-scenes updates, new music releases, and insider insights that the mainstream media won't tell you. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Who do you think betrayed Kodak, and how should he handle them moving forward? This is more than a story about one artist. It's a window into the pressures, risks, and realities of the music industry. Stay tuned, because Kodak's journey isn't over. The way he navigates trust, power, and public perception could change the game entirely. Don't miss the next chapter in this high-stakes saga.